everybody, and welcome back to BK's Bullets. Today we're talking about Y the Last Man, Volume 6, Girl on Girl. Hey everybody, and welcome back to BK's Bullets. As always, I'm your host, Brent, and today we're talking about Y the Last Man, Volume 6, Girl on Girl. This is part of Book 3, I guess, of the newer trades, the thicker trades. This is the old original one. So yeah, we're at the end of Book 3. We're more than halfway through the series, and we are making some headway. If you've not watched my review for The Ring of Truth and all the revelations we had there, go read that book, watch that review, all that stuff, because there's a lot to talk about here. So, before we get into the review, let me ask you to please do one thing. Please subscribe. Helps me out, helps the channel grow, lets you know when I drop new videos, all that good stuff. Smash that like button. But yeah, Girl on Girl, this is we got like a monster of a book in Volume 5. That was like a thick book. This one is kind of thin. It's only 5 issues. It contains 32 to 36 of Y the Last Man. And it's mostly drawn by Goran Sudzuka, who is a phenomenal artist and pretty much matches Pia Guerra's style in a way that I've never seen before. I only know because I always make sure to look at the beginning, and there's a table of contents when they have these different stories of who did the writing and which artist did what storyline. And I think that's great. I love recognizing the talents here. But man, reading it, I did not, I swear, you would not know unless I pointed it out that it was a different artist for these 4 issues here that were doing the girl on girl storyline. And then Pia Guerra picks up at the last, with the last story here in this volume. So it's a little weird that her name is up top, but she is the co-creator of the book. She did conceive it with Y the Last Man, or with Brian K. Vaughan, not Y the Last Man. Y the Last Man's the name of the book. Even though, she's still listed up top, in this volume anyway, I don't know how the credits work in contracts or whatever, but I feel like at least Goran Sudzuka should get top billing in this volume only because he did the majority of the work that's presented here. 4 issues versus Pia Guerra's 1. It's not blaming anybody. She did 7 issues back-to-back in the last volume. She deserved a break, whatever was going on. But, they're scheduling this book, trying to keep it monthly. And this is maybe one of those arguments when you're a creator, you're going, well, do I take the time to make sure it's one consistent vision, one consistent volume of artists, the way that Walking Dead was? Charlie Adlard was working way ahead, and he's also a very fast artist as well. You got Mark Bagley on Ultimate Spider-Man doing 111 issues in a row with no fill-ins. And then you got other stuff like this where there's some fill-ins here and there, but it's a consistent vision. It doesn't ruin anything. But it's not Preacher, it's not 100 Bullets, which is all Brian Azzarello, all Eduardo Risso, no breaks, 100 issues by those guys. So it's a little bit of a different style here. Do you make it a consistent vision, or do you keep everybody getting paid and keep the book on time and keep the fans happy if you're not able to keep up with that pace, or something happens in your life, or you have a baby, you get married, you need a vacation, all that good stuff. I think that's one of the reasons why Brian K. Vaughan is taking a break on Saga. Him and, who's his collaborator there? It's another female artist. I can't remember her name. Fiona Staples, that's who it is. Fiona Staples did the first, 59, 60 issues all by herself, doing the art and the colors as well. I think she's doing it digitally, but they did that entire run, and they're taking a long break in between the next volume of it. I guess I don't know if it's going to be a new number 1 or issue 61, but I guess they're working ahead so that they can keep it out on a monthly pace when they do let it pick back up. Or maybe they're crafting it until the end and they're just going to release it in one big bang, and Pia Guerra can go work on some other stuff. Who knows? But yeah, it's an interesting dichotomy on the way that writers and creators create their works and decide what's worth more. Especially at a time when Y the Last Man was probably selling a whole lot of copies. DC Vertigo probably wanted them to put out monthly issues to get those, to keep those numbers up. So it's understandable if they said, no, Pia needs a break, and we're going to put Goran Sudzuka on here, and you can work ahead while he does this 4-issue arc or whatever. So what's the story about? It says Girl on Girl. You got this really racy cover, at least at the time. This is 2004, 2005 when this was coming out. And I can recall being in college when this came out. I wasn't reading it then. I think I read it towards the later end of college as it got to a close, basically. But yeah, you were not seeing, like, this is the whole Dawson's Creek era, One Tree Hill, where you have to have, at least one gay character on a show. I mean, it kind of feels that way now, per se, but it was a bigger deal when characters kissed on television that were of the same sex on a new show. They made a big deal about it, pretty much, because it was a racy thing back then. Not so much now. But certainly you see that same attitude in here with 355 and Dr. Mann, who is a lesbian. 355 is not. But they do kind of, like, in their hour of need, kind of just end up in each other's arms. And, Yorick walks in on them and goes, "What the hell?" Instead of like, "Oh, never mind. Like, all right, I'll leave you guys alone." And even the whole, like, spectrum of sexuality was not really present in the media or culture at the time of, like, oh, you could be here over here, like, totally straight, you could be totally gay, you could be anywhere in between. That whole idea was not present 15 years ago when this was being presented, much less 20 years ago. So his reaction to it of being like, is definitely of the time, I think. So if you're reading it now and you're like, that's weird, it might be weird now, but it was not weird back then. But also, too, like, if there's only, like, I would expect, if there's no men left on Earth, women would find love any way they could, however they wanted to, and I would be fine with it. Like, you gotta find some way to get your rocks off. So I'm not surprised here. And honestly, I'm surprised that that's not explored more in this book. Maybe if this was, like, rewritten today, it would be. You certainly see, like, Brian K. Vaughan in Saga, anyways, exploring more of those themes of, like, I don't know what his thing is personally, but, like, there's characters in Saga that are bisexual or asexual or intersex. There's a whole lot of sex going on in Saga, less so in here. So maybe it's something that he is not picking up the baton or whatever, but just exploring more in his writing. So a majority of this book takes place on a ship as they're sailing to where are they sailing to? They're sailing to some small port in Japan, and we found out at the end of the last volume that that's where Dr. Mann's mother lives. Well, this ninja took Ampersand to where Dr. Mann's mother lives, the same town. Why would that be? We don't know yet, but is it a coincidence? I think not. But there is some interesting stuff on this ship to find out. We think it's just a sailing ship, like a cruise ship that's been converted to cargo. And even though they're saying it's a cruise ship, like, they never show, Gordon Suzuka never shows the real cruise shipness of it. Like, you don't feel like it's a cruise ship. It feels like a freighter. You're always seeing, like, just the deck, just the cabin, just the bridge, or the cargo hold. You're not seeing, like, the pool area that's been converted, or you're not seeing, like, the grand ballrooms or the staircase or the big dining hall in the back of the ship. All that stuff is not here on this converted cruise ship, so it's a little weird. Maybe that's the writing. Brian K. Vaughan didn't pick up on how cool that would be to see all that, converted to this cruise thing. But anyway, as it turns out, this is not a cruise ship carrying cargo with food and medicines. This is a cruise ship carrying fucking heroin, and it's going to Australia to trade this heroin for other goods, which is going to take back to the States. So there's an Australian submarine hunting this ship because they know it's carrying heroin, and they're going to blow it up because they don't want that heroin getting to Australia. Meanwhile, did we mention that our heroes are on this ship and have no clue what's going on? So the most of the fun part of the storyline is our heroes, Dr. Mann, 355, and Yorick, again, finding themselves in this weird situation, and having to explain Yorick yet again. Secret is blown very quickly, and Yorick again, after he cheated on Beth with Beth in the last volume, this other blonde girl, he's pretty close to nailing the captain here, or letting her nail him on this particular issue or storyline or whatever. And maybe that is a little bit driven by him walking in on 355 and Dr. Mann at some point. But yeah, it definitely is like Yorick is no longer, he still like wants the idea of Beth, so it's kind of a strange thing for him to have tried not to cheat on her, then to cheat on her, and then now he's like, well, whatever. Kind of the stereotypical thing you think a last man on Earth would do would be to try to spread his seed as much as possible or whatever. He's doing these actions, but he's still like, oh, but Beth, my girlfriend, my fiance, and not really like following through on that level of commitment. So it's kind of a two-handed, like, York's kind of an asshole in that way. But yeah, so the last issue is we do like reunite with Beth, not York particularly, but us as readers. We find out she's still alive. We get a little bit of her story through flashbacks. She's tied up by some Aboriginal women over in Australia, which we had seen, I think, in the last volume, that she might have been in a little bit of trouble. She's going through some, like, heat spell and having vivid dreams and imagining things, and ends up with the revelation that, York is alive, and we will see how that will come later on down the line as she is in the Australian outback still to this point. The other notable thing at the end of this book is that we have Alter coming back. Somehow she has come back to power, back in Israel, and she's going to go on the hunt again for York. So I think Alter is probably going to become the ultimate villain of this book. I don't remember exactly, so I'm interested to find out. That's what's fun about rereading stories. You remember things and how much you love them, but you've forgotten all the details, so it's fun to go and reread stuff and then realize, oh yeah, this character plays a bigger part, or oh, I forgot about that little detail, or the things you do remember, you find things that are setting up for those things earlier on if the writer is planting seeds and stuff like that. So, a whole lot of fun. I like this storyline. I think it's fun. It's not as essential as Volume 5, Ring of Truth, but definitely don't skip on it, because you were definitely getting us to Japan in the next volume to deal with Dr. Man's mother, and we're going forward from there. So, yeah, catch you guys next time. Thank you for watching. Let me know down below in the comments what you think of this volume, Why the Last Man, Girl on Girl, and we'll see you guys next time in the Funny Pages.